This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. I was going to open up the show by saying, hey, if you guys don't have anything to do after the show, I was on Travis Manson's Halloween Smallmouth Crush Spectacular last night. But this is a true story. He went really deep into some of his deep-held beliefs and conspiracy theories, and we joked that the show would get flagged. I don't see the replay out there this morning. So either something happened with the glitch or it got, I don't know, man. It's kind of creepy now that it was, but hope everybody's doing good. Good show today. We have them on 3-4 times a year over the last couple years. First it was with Pro Guide, and now with Bass Cat, we have the sales and marketing manager for Bass Cat and Yarcraft, Matt Looney, is going to join us. Actually, every once in a while we get lucky on BTL and we have a little bit of breaking news. So I think we are going to get a scoop on some programs and some tournaments and some things that Bass Cat is doing. Then we're also going to pick Matt's brain a little bit about the boat industry. Usually we have Rick on. We've had Rick on a couple of times this year. We'll continue to have Rick on as long as Rick is willing to come on. But Matt Looney now is kind of settled into his role there as the sales and marketing manager. So we'll get his take on it. Also want to chat with him. He also fishes the NPFL. And we kind of had some off the record conversations. We kind of got hot at the same time there and cashed a couple like back-to-back checks. So I would be interested. I talked to Matt a little bit about momentum, fishing on a roll, that type of thing. And then we'll look ahead to the remainder of the year. We still have some classic spots, 3 classic spots in that Bass Nation Championship coming up. We still have some spots to be filled. The Toyota Series Championship is going on at the same time at Wheeler Lake, and then one final NPFL on the season, which got moved. I think if I got this right. So it was supposed to be in Florida, and then everyone practiced, and then the hurricane canceled the tournament, but then it was rescheduled for Florida, but then it was moved to another lake. So typical NPFL fashion, they just get they just keep right on trucking. So all right, he's in the office there with all those props behind him. Matt Looney, thanks for jumping on BTL. Good to see you again, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
The prop wall behind you, is that your office, or is that like the studio there at Bass Cat, or what is the significance of those props?
No, this is my office. This is actually used to be Rick's office way back in the day. And a lot of those props are like the first run of some different model. Like, for instance, we have the Fury, the Bravo, different props now. These were kind of like the props that started that. And Rick was a big part of designing a lot of props. You know, a lot of people don't know that in the industry. And so we actually have a lot of first rendition props behind me. That's
really cool. I'm going to make that full screen. You haven't done the show from this studio, this area yet. That's really cool.
Nice little ceiling tile back there when you open the doors.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it sucks all the air, and it's fun too. But yeah, no, these props are super cool. Like I said, this used to be Rick's office, and that thing's bolted to the wall because of how heavy it is. So I get the luxury of having them in mine now.
Yeah, we've had a lot of day 4 shows with Uncle Frank where we talk about props and bass boat performance. Obviously had Rick on a bunch. I don't think people understand how well you have to understand performance bass boats to even just in your head be like, well, I want to try this, I want to do that, and know how a different prop, a pitch, a shape, a number of blades affects the performance. I mean, I guess that's when you've been in the industry for 50 years, I guess that's what it is, but it is unbelievable.
Rick's constantly working on new props, working with company. Like, I mean, he's still doing it. So and it's because he has that knowledge that not many have, and it allows these companies to kind of utilize his knowledge bank to create a few props. So it's super cool. Props are a huge deal. I probably didn't realize as much before coming to Basscat, being a more performance-based company. Brock Bila, who's, young gun, great in the Ozarks, fishing a phenomenal MPFL this year. He's in a Puma, and he literally called me. He was like, "Hey man, like I changed one little thing on this prop. I had a prop work." And he's like, "I gained 4 miles an hour." And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, it's crazy. I mean, even between props, at this last event, John Soka dinged his prop, lost an ear on the last day of practice. So he had to put a different prop on there from the Yamaha trailer, and his boat was going 2 or 3 miles an hour faster, just because like a little bit different shape. So in a lot of ways, not all props are made the same. You're going to pay for the ones that are all exactly the same.
I feel like it's a lost art. So like when you talk to the old school guys, like when I used to hang out at the Elite Series boat yards with Harold Allen, and a lot of the, say those 50, 65, 70-year-old guys who used to, they've been through the renditions of the 18 footers all the way up to the 20 footers, from 150 horsepower all the way up through the 200 horsepower. Like the art of tweaking a boat performance based on your prop, I feel like has been lost on a lot of the younger generation. Those old guys love to sit around, sip on whiskey, complain about people fishing too close to them, and talking about how they can maximize performance of their vessels by changing their props.
Absolutely. And it's, drilling extra holes or putting plugs in. Like it's crazy. And you're right. A lot of that is lost. I think some of it's probably lost to boats are just generally better designed now.
Hydraulic jack plate, did that have a lot to do with it too, with the invention of the hydraulic jack plate?
Now you can adjust the height while running. So I mean, I run my jack plate at a different height when I have my live wells full versus when I don't have my live wells full, or when my tank's low versus when my tank's full. Like you learn and of course learned a lot of that from Rick, but you learn these little things. And so now that I have all these performance indicators, the prop doesn't seem to be as important of a deal to the younger generation, because we can tweak other ways. Before, you had to drill holes, or you had to do different things just to even get what we're getting now out of other options.
I remember you'd see guys that were like filing their props before the tournament started. They had remember Steve Kennedy used to always carry like the actual like cups of the prop that he was using. He'd be out there like hammering it, making sure everything was dialed in. You had guys that would like spend one day of practice just change it. It is a lost art. I've like I said, through day 4 and through chatting with Rick, I've understood a lot more about it, to where when someone says, like, what are you running, I understand kind of what that means, like, the pitch and the number and all that stuff. But last time we talked to you was about 3.5 months ago, and we had you and Kevin Rogers on, and you guys had just delivered a one-of-a-kind Puma STS, right, to the one and only, and now ranked head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, Deion Sanders. Have you had any interaction with him since then? I know they're in the middle of the season, or is that thing kind of sit in Texas until the off season?
So the boat is in Texas. He went back during their off week a couple weeks back, and he fished. And the coolest thing about the whole deal with Coach is, obviously huge props to Kevin, who set up introducing us, but Coach loves the outdoors, and Coach loves fishing. But after they beat UCF, he texted me and he's like, "Hey man, we're getting better." He loves talking football with me. I played college ball. So we have a lot that we've talked about, but I genuinely talk to him on a weekly basis, whether it's about football or fishing. He's really wanting to dive more into the outdoor industry, so kind of just some knowledge-based things. So it's been a super cool deal. And what's crazy about it, Matt, is that we used to have that gold color, and we call it sand, Malibu sand. It's the black with the gold flakes, and we got rid of it. We made Coach's boat, and now all of a sudden we brought that color back, and all of a sudden we've sold like 15 with that color. It's crazy the reach that Coach has, even inside the industry, just being who he is. So it's been super fun. We've got some big things planned. Hopefully he'll be in our booth at the Classic, and we've got some really cool stuff happening with him.
Yeah. Obviously a marketing deal this is like everyone benefits. He gets the new boat Bass Cat gets it. But I was curious at the time, you had literally just delivered it to him.
Yeah.
And you said that the film crew and all that was there, and I'm seeing, like, I'll pull it up now, like, here's we're talking like 100,000 views on this stuff. Look at it, there's the boat right there. Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have a custom gold hat made for that and everything?
We had everything custom.
But there it is right there. You guys can go watch that on YouTube, but just a really cool video. And then it's hard not to root for the Buffs when that Deion's got a cat in the garage, and then a lot of his players, like, they do a ton of different fishing challenges, like, all the time and stuff on the lake.
Right. Yeah, no, it's great. And what's real fun is he takes and during this video, you'll hear him talk about it, but he talks a lot about like the pull up and like, he's like, you guys don't want to say it, but you get your rig set up to where when you pull up at the ramp, like you're making a statement, like a skeet race.
Yeah.
And he's like, y'all just don't talk about it. He's like, but I want to talk about it. And then you watch these videos where he's out there fishing with guys on his lake, and he's just dogging them and just having a good time. And I love it though, because the athlete aspect of it, that he's right. Like, there's like a gentleman's more approach in the fishing side, and we don't trash talk nearly as much as you would like in football. And so it's pretty fun to watch them kind of mix the two.
Well, that's really cool. How long you been in the role? Are you a year in now?
I'll be now. It's January 2nd. It's when I started.
Oh, so you're almost a year in.
Almost a year. I started coming over here the beginning of December, but I didn't officially get hired till January.
There's a lot of crimson and cream cats out there. There's a lot. Yeah. Yes, maybe though. You just need to do Bass Cat to get them in there. Thank you, Drunkwood. That's awesome. That's a sore subject there, sitting at 4-4. I will say, on the bright side though, I have been chatting with Brad Hallman a lot more regularly. Brad spends a lot of time on the track field with his son, who's a track star now, and in the deer stand, not on the water, but anytime we had a chance. I was fishing a derby this past week. Oh, I'll tell you about, I don't care, I'll say it. But I looked at my phone and I had like 28 text messages, and it was a text thread between Dan O'Sullivan from Advanced Angler, Brad Hallman, and I was in it, and they were going back and forth on the game. Dude, so everything's FFS, right? Like scope, whatever. So I was going to fish this all day at Shawnee Twin Lakes, which is 5 minutes down the road. It's the one that Austin Cranford and I fished the Thursday nighter in. And he, believe it or not, has a job. Even though it seems like all he does is fish every day. Right. He's like, hey, man, I won't be able to fish it. There's another guy's around. He's sponsored by the Bass Tank. His name's Josh Tepley. And I knew him, never fished with him, whatever. So he said, my boat's kind of tore apart. I said, yeah, just jump in with me. We'll fish. And I scoped all day. And I was going to just fish it by myself because I was like, I think, that was $100 entry fee. But I said, yeah, jump in with me. Dude, I got absolutely drilled. He was standing next to me, kind of fan casting general areas where the stuff was, but I'm precision scoping. My best 5 maybe went 10.5 pounds, which would have been good enough for like second or third. There were 2 10-pound bags of 15, and I get to the story here. And I'm all in on this, right? So I'm precision scoping 3 or 4 different baits, and he's just casting in the general area as old school as you can get. 3/16 ounce Texas rigged, old school Oklahoma plastic, just dragging it. Dude catches a 642 and 2 4.5s blind dragon on the front deck next to me, and completely messed with my head, like in a good way, to where I was like, man, there is still a time and a place for old school worm dragon. Yeah. And we ended up having a little 20.08 with a 642 big bass, got first in big bass. I contributed 1 2.5 pounder to the bag, and the rest he caught just old school dragon, 20-pound string on the bottom. There's one. I back up, get off the front deck. He reels down and cracks it in the rod, just buries and doesn't move. And I'm like, another one? It was unbelievable. It was cool just to kind of see that old school. That's still awesome. Go down. Yeah. What was it like on Lake of the Ozarks? I had Kyle Welcher on yesterday. Him and John Cruz talked about our trip to Japan. But looking at that tournament, I said, I think there were like 11 guys that this is a bad phrase. You never want to hear the term triple zeroed.
Yeah.
But I think there were like a dozen guys out of that 100+ boat field that triple zeroed on Lake of the Ozarks. I know that you struggled. You ended up finishing middle of the pack. But talk about what it was like trying to find 15 inches on a lake during the fall, during a transition period, abnormally warm, maybe a little bit of turnover, and still probably a little bit of traffic on the lake.
Yeah, no, it was in a terrible week for me. Overall, I was very excited for this tournament. I lived in Columbia, Missouri for 4 years. And I considered Lake of the Ozarks home for those time. And I know the lake very well. And it wasn't a situation like you hear sometimes where it's like, oh, you knew it too well. You had too many. No, like I put my head down and did what I thought I needed to do. And it just didn't work out for me. But the problem was you could catch 30, 40 fish a day that were 14 inches and they had to be 15 inches. And on this one, they had to be 15-inch spotted bass as well. So you could catch a 2-pound spot that was 14 inches. I mean, they're real big and fat right now. And so, if we could have done 12-inch spots, I think the tournament would have been a little different. The guys that caught them still would have caught them, but the guys that struggled would have probably at least had a limit because you can go catch a 12-inch spot on any boat dock in that lake, and there's quite a few of them. So it was tough, but I figured out a deal with wave breaks, and I say figured out, it's what I would normally have done when I was there. And in practice, I had some keepers, but I was not confident, but I felt like I could catch, 10, 12 pounds. And if you catch 10 pounds a day, I thought you'd get paid, which it ended up only taking like 7 pounds a day. So I was right, but I did not get the keepers that I needed. And then you talk about old school. Nick Brown wins it fishing at the very back of a creek, fishing isolated wood. He turned his electronics off every day. It was throwing a glide bait and a topwater and just wrecking them. And I'm just like, man, like I completely missed that bite. Didn't think about it. I got so stuck out there in 70 foot of water and wave breaks, live scoping that, I didn't let myself go to where I should have went.
Yeah, I don't personally know Nick Brown. He did message me. He was listening to yesterday's show, and he's like, hey, man, if you want, jump on the show. I'm definitely going to reach out to him, get him on the show. It'll probably be a recorded show next week that will run while I'm at Grand. But I mean, a grind, even for the top guy. I can't remember the last time I saw a tournament one where you're 2 fish short of a limit. Nick only had 13 fish, actually first and second. Joseph Webster only had 14 fish as well. He had some badass topwater bites there too on a plopper. But Nick went 4 for 11-11, and then on day 2 pretty much did all of his damage. He had a limit for 21.8 with a 6.5 big bass, and then 4 for 12.10. So especially after hearing that story, can't wait to talk to him and see how he's got it done old school. It does seem like, I mean, you look at a couple of the different opens, some of the obviously the MPFL stuff right now, the team series that's going on down in Texas for MLF, which by the way, did you see they fished OH for 3 days? And I don't think there was I think there was like 1 fish over 3 pounds caught the entire time.
Wrong time of year.
It was unbelievable to see that. I was giving Justin Lucas some grief. I was like, hey man, good luck, man. Maybe you'll get the skill set to catch a 2-pounder on the best lake in the world eventually. He's like, screw you. But he made it to the finals. But it seems like there's been a little bit of resurgence, and it could just be kind of the fall fishing or the lakes that they're going to of the grind it out, just go fishing and seeing guys who are having success. So I kind of like to see that.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of fall fishing. And like I said, you can do what I was doing, chasing bait balls, going on wave breaks, and the size wasn't there. I thought I got lucky on day 2. I found some fish sitting in some treetops in like 60 foot, like the water was 80 foot and the trees were 60 foot down. And it ended up being a bunch of like 2-pound crappie, the biggest crappie I've ever seen. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that doesn't help me. But the funny thing, day 3, I scrapped everything. I ran way up the river, fishing kind of similarly to what I would normally do. And then I just went as far as I could go back, dragging my motor, like trolling motor all the way up, and found 1 treetop, and I caught 8 fish out of the same treetop in a foot of water. And I'm like, I missed it. Like this is what I should have been doing. So congrats to the guys that figured it out though, because I did not.
All right, we're gonna take a real quick break, and then when we come back, we're gonna dive into some cool stuff that Basscat has going on. I've ran a Basscat for the last 7 years. Last decade. They've been a big supporter of BTL and the Bass Zone. We were live from the Owners Invitational earlier this year. There's some news that came out about this year's, the 2025 Owners Invitational. And then I did not know this, but Matt sent me a unreleased press release that has to do with the Bassmaster Open EQs and some really cool stuff going on that. So we will dive into that when we come back. It is Tuesday, October 29th, 2024. Matt Looney from Basscat. We will be back right after this. This is Gamakatsu's new Nano Alpha line of hooks. If it looks familiar, that's because they are. It's the same shapes and sizes in the round bend and the EWG and in the new Horizon head that you know and love from Gamakatsu, but there are a couple new features with this Nano Alpha, which is this little green label that you see on the packaging. First off, 2 times faster hook penetration. That's because of the Nano Alpha smooth coating on it, and also it is 4 times more corrosion resistant. Check it out, Nano Alpha.
I've been using Sunline Shooter for the majority of my career. Millions of dollars made, lots of bass caught, and the gnarly, gnarly stuff. If you need a abrasion resistant, tough fishing line for the really, really mean stuff, Sunline Shooter is for you.
In 2023, we became a household name in the crappie fishing world thanks to Power Breaks, the game changer. Hey, bass fishing world, buckle up. Because you're next. It's going to be fun. Welcome to the next evolution of our product line, Power Breaks Sidekick, designed to install right on your shallow water acres. We are the first and only fishing brake company to offer a breakaway system. Just like with the Game Changer, the Power Breaks Sidekick has it as well. And it's not a matter of if you're going to need it, it's when. Power Breaks, the most durable fishing brakes available on the market today. Made right here in the USA with our rock-solid 2-year warranty. Hey, not all fishing brakes are built equally, and you owe it to yourself to find out why ours are different. Power Breaks Sidekick. Order yours today at mypowerbrakes.com. You'll be glad you did.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
All right, welcome back. BTL on Tuesday, chatting with Matt Looney from Basscat Boats. One of the things that has become synonymous with Basscat is the Owners Invitational. I've had Rick on to talk about it a lot. That's the one with like the rubber duckies.
Yeah.
They give a boat away. You give a boat away. You've got guys that have fished it for 30 plus years. You got guys that have fished it for 30 plus years out of the same Basscat.
Right.
It's not one of those deals where you have to have like a boat that's within 3 years or whatever. Like, I mean, if you've got a cat, you're welcome to fish the Owners Invitational, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's open to all of our owners. Even if you bought a used boat or whatever, as long as it's registered to you, is part of the registration process. You just give us your boat identification number. And but no, it's awesome. This is the 38th year of it coming up. And we have guys that have, like you're saying, have fished 3 decades of it. And it's super cool to see. As always, we have a grand prize and then a draw prize. So The draw prize next year is a premium boat. Just like last year we did a Puma STS. This year it's going to be a similar boat, rigged out with the 250 power poles, 4 Garmin electronics, live scope, trolling. Like it's going to be completely decked out, and it's a draw prize. So literally all you have to do is be signed up for the tournament to win. And like we typically do, you draw stick. Like everyone has a paint paddle, then Rick draws some paddles out, and it goes down to 10. And then after the final day weigh-in, when we're back there doing all the paperwork and making checks and all that stuff, Rick kind of does that presentation and they end up making it where they find a draw prize winner, and it's a super cool thing. And then the winner of the tournament will win a Bobcat with a 150 on it. So this year, Mercury came on board stronger and provided the engine for that boat as well. So normally the Bobcat's just a boat and trailer, but it's going to be a full package as well. And so to win that tournament, you're going to get a pretty good prize pack. And then just being there, you're going to get the opportunity to win a really awesome prize pack.
Being there, I feel like it has bounced around in Arkansas basically since its inception. Obviously, the home of Basscat,
right
there in Mountain Home, but a venue change this year.
Yes, we're coming to Grand Lake. Pretty excited about it. I'm obviously familiar with Grand, but Brent Malone, who's with the city of Grove and the tourism department, he's a Basscat owner, and so reached out to him. He was thrilled, super excited to come on board. A lot of the local businesses are coming on board with what we're doing as well. So looking forward to a very, very good owners tournament. We're going to be there third week of April or no? Let's see. I should know this thing. Yeah. The fourth weekend in April, because April starts weird. But yeah, so last weekend in April. And kind of the same timing as last year, but just going to be at Grand Lake and hoping for some good weather so we can have some good fishing. But it's going to be awesome. We've got some corporate sponsors on board this year. Last year, being super new to the role and not having someone in this position, we didn't quite have everything as normal. So like this year, we're going to have the big prize packs again for every angler. We've got the ducks, like you said. So there's 50 rubber ducks that get put around the lake at a random place. You bring the duck in, and it could be a trolling motor. It could be 2 rods. It could be Garmin 126. It could be like, there's different prizes for every duck. So it's a really cool thing. And we just get to celebrate our owners. You know, it's interesting to watch, because it's the one tournament I've ever been to where there's not a single wrap boat. There's not big ego. Like, it's literally just the owners getting together and having a great time, but it's 300 boats. You know, there's 600 anglers just having a good time and fishing. And,
I mean, that's fluctuated anywhere from like 250 up to like 500 or 600 boats.
Back in the day,
about how back in the day, it was literally just a zoo.
Yeah. Back in the day, they had it up to 500 or 600 boats, and I couldn't imagine, because last year we had 312. And I was pretty overwhelmed being my first year tournament director. So hoping for at least that many again this year. But yeah, I could not imagine double that field. And
the meeting, all that will be out of Grove with that Wolf Creek facility there that you can park 500 trailers at with you. As the meeting takes off.
Check in. Well, probably most likely is going to be at the casino right across Sailboat Bridge.
Okay.
At the restaurant portion. And we'll go in there just for the registration side of it, or check in. But registration opens for this on Friday at 6 a.m. And then another thing that we've got Lou's on board for the first 100 teams are going to get 2 of their new TP2 rods. So make sure you're one of the first 100 teams to sign up so you can get those rods. And then, so registration will be from Friday. Then it's going to end that Tuesday of the tournament week. That way we can have time to get everybody's personalized cards on their check-in times and everything like that on that Wednesday to give to them Thursday. So trying to be super prepared this year where we don't have any kind of confusion on flight times changing or anything like that. So make sure we're giving you a very long time, 6 months to get signed up, basically, where last year, again, I gave them like 4 weeks. So we gave them 4 weeks and had 312 boats. So let's see what we can do with 6 months worth of prep.
Basscat.com, is that where you can go once that opens on Friday?
Basscat.com will have a link. It'll be through Fishing Chaos.
Okay.
They're a fantastic platform that we use for our tournaments. And so you'll be able to find it directly on their website, or there'll be a link through Basscat.com.
Sweet. That'll be fun. I'm sure there's a chance that BTL will be broadcasting live from there.
Yeah, no, I hope you're there. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's just up the road. Then you said, "Hey, let's announce this on BTL," and I was like, "Well, I love announcements."
Yeah.
So this is going to drop officially tomorrow or later today.
This today, after we get off of this, it'll go out and it'll go on the thing I sent you. If you want to put it on the screen, if you have it, I don't know if you got it, but yeah, that'll go live on our social media as well. But man, I'm excited for this. We have a great quest program, but to me, rewarding our anglers, rewarding the bass cat owners is something that I've always been passionate about, no matter where I've been. And so getting to offer this opportunity for the Bassmaster Opens anglers, and this, I mean, even if you fish one open or you fish the full 4 and then qualify for the 3, like this has something for everybody. So starting next year through the first 8 events, the highest finisher, no matter if you finish 100th, but you're the highest finisher, Tier 1 qualified bass cat owner. So Tier 1 is the first 2 years of ownership, original owner, first 2 years of ownership. Then the highest finisher gets $2,500. If you win the event, it's a $10,000 thing. Then if you qualify for the EQs, the top 100, that goes up to $3,500 for the highest finisher and $12,500 to win. So some pretty good tournament contingencies that I'm excited to be able to offer to our bass cat owners.
That's cool. Yeah, the contingencies, regardless of what brand of boat you're running, some of those brands, like you look at like a guy at a BFL, he wins like $3,000 and then it's like $15,000 in contingencies after that. And you're like, what? Wait a second. You just won $19,000 in a BFL with the contingency. Yeah. So with this bass cat, I know there's a lot of cats out there on the open EQs, but and the opens, but really cool to see Cat with the quest money, the tournament rewards program, offer this for the Bassmaster Opens and the Bassmaster Open EQ anglers in 2025.
Yep, absolutely. And then we'll still do, if you win in a Bass Cat and you're in an older model, it'll just be the regular Bass Cat quest money. So you'll still get the quest money, and we'll pay out the highest finishing qualified Tier 1. So
okay.
So it's, if you've got a 2008 Bass Cat and you go win an open, don't worry, you'll still get your money. Like, we're not going to not pay. We want to support all of our anglers. But this is an awesome opportunity for the guys really chasing it, to make your entry fee back and some gas, like just that's what we're all looking for. On Pickwick, I was actually fortunate enough on the MPFL side to win the Bass Cat money, which I got a lot of crap for, but it literally made it to where I finished 21st and made as much as the guy that finished 5th. Just so contingencies are a big deal for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about Bass Cats and boat sales in general. Like I said, you're kind of fully immersed into this now. I know Rick really likes to dive into this, but I'd be interested in getting your opinion. Just hearing a lot of guys talking about, as far as getting new boats or getting used boats or whatever, like from what you've seen right now heading into 2025, a lot political, economic, climate changes. What is it like in the high end bass boat market now? Is it a little bit of a struggle period? Is it surprisingly well? I know Mark Jeffries used to always say when he ran it, well, it doesn't matter. The guys who buy a $150,000 bass boat or $120,000, they're going to buy it regardless of the economy.
Right. We see a lot of that. Fortunately for us, we have a lot of cash buyers. Like it is, we've built this following of Bass Cat of quality and workmanship that we put into every boat, and we get this owner and we don't lose them. We have like a 96% return rate on buyers. And so we are doing all right. We're building the same amount of boats we've been building for over a year. So we haven't had a major slowdown this year. Now, overall sales are down, right? Like just for across the industry is very small right now compared, like a couple thousand units short in the last 12 months versus the previous 12 months. But Bass Cat, we're staying right along the same lines that we've kind of been at, which is good for us. And I'm excited about that as well. The main thing that we have, like you said, there's a lot of things coming up quick that could affect positively or negatively, and we just have to be very nimble. And we have that nimbleness because we don't build 12 boats a day. You know, we build 2 or 3 boats a day. So it keeps us, when you're at that pace, you're able to keep your quality. And then when in slow times, you can really make sure that you're not running into situations where you've got too much inventory in the field. And in the good times, you know, you roll them out as fast as we can. So it's a tougher economy right now, but again, our Bass Cat owners are pretty loyal, and also just a lot of the guys buying our boat are going to buy it no matter what the industry is.
Would you say more guys? I'm just curious on this. Would you say more guys like buy a new boat and then run it for 10 years and keep it in good shape before they get a new one? Or like, what is a percentage of guys who like buy a boat and then that's their boat for that whole stretch of their life, or guys who turn it over every year or every 2 years and they always are going to have a payment or they're always going to buy one? But is that kind of the same as like the truck guys? Like you either buy a truck and run it till it's got 300,000, or do you have any idea on what the percentages are on that, on those premium model of boats?
Right. I don't have exact percentages, but I will say typically our premium boat buyer keeps it 2 to 4 years, from what I've seen. And then they want the next premium boat. Now there are the guys that buy like retirement boats, like Mac Archer is a guy that worked at Mercury Marine forever. And then he worked at Sea Arc Boats, which is a sister company of ours. And he just bought his retirement boat, and it's a Puma with a 300, and you know, it's a beautiful boat. So we have a lot of that. We have a lot of the clientele that this is their, you know, it was their dream. We're an aspirational brand in a lot of ways. So they've saved up, they want this product, they get it, and they keep it. But then again, we have probably, like I said, 30 to 40% of our upper tier boats get flipped, you know, every 4 to 6 years.
Yeah. So you have the STS series. Did you guys release that Caracal this year or last year?
The Caracal was released last year.
Anything in 2025 that I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't know what you're allowed to say or not. Is there any new models coming out that
I would come to the Classic if you can?
Oh, really? Hold on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what we'll go with.
I'll tell you what, the Classic, I've been pumping this Classic to the BTL listeners hard. Like so Texas is its own thing. It's right. Like not the South. It's not the Midwest. It's like Texas. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. Like it's its own style. That Fort Worth with it at Dickey's Arena with the stockyards down in Fort Worth. I'm a little bit biased, obviously, because my girlfriend lives down there now. So I've spent a ton of time down in the stockyards in Fort Worth over the last couple of years. But that is like, if you have a significant other or kids who like aren't, maybe they're like not diehard fishermen, you can do like a fantastic vacation in the stockyards down there around Fort Worth. There's so many things to do. And then you can stop by the cat booth and see what they have to offer. Frank will be there. I'll be there. Hopefully I'll be fishing in it. That's the plan right now. But I mean, you have to be an optimist if you're in this. I'm not going to be like, hey, you know, as long as I have a chance, I'm going to say,
yeah, no, what's crazy. So, like my in-laws, you know, they've never been big into fishing or anything like that, especially my mother-in-law. And we went, the first event she ever went to, which kind of ruined her, was the Fort Worth Classic a few years ago.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I get it. Like, I get why you love this. I get and you know, you go eat brunch in the stockyards and you go like everything was super, super cool. So it's a great venue. If you have any inkling at all that you like fishing, come to this event. It is the best event in fishing for sure.
We're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, we'll just touch a little bit on fishing psychology, because I thought we had some interesting chats about that. I mean, you talk to like I talked to Kyle Welcher, right? He won the Angler of the Year. He's second in the Angler of the Year on the NPFL right now. Right. Perennial check casher. And it's amazing. Like we were in Japan and I was like, dude, I want to do a whole show on the off the water stuff. And he's like, no, I ain't talking about that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, no, I'm talking about these. Like, that's where the juice is. He goes, that's where the secret sauce is. And I did not realize like the level of dedication that he had. Now, listen, granted, I know there's guys who slam 30 racks every night and go out in top 10. I know there's guys that eat 7,000 calories at 11 p.m. and then are at the boat ramp the next morning. But as a whole, if you look at the longevity of anglers and their careers that achieve at the highest level, there's some common threads, and it's not until you actually because they don't talk about it, right? Like Kevin, and rightfully so, like for a tackle company, it behooves you to say, hey, if you buy this crankbait, you catch more fish. Right. Which in a sense is true, but what the part that you leave out is how you get that crankbait in front of the fish to bite it, and the decisions that you had to make to put yourself in position for that success. And all these guys at the top level will talk about how much of that battle is won off of the water, to where the baits, the line, the rods, the reel, all that is the cherry on top of the decision that puts them in position to succeed.
Yeah.
So, hey, we'll talk a little bit about that when we come back. We'll take our final break of the show. It's Tuesday, October 29th. Matt Looney from Bass Cap Boats. BTL will be back right after this.
Beatdown is efficient.
Rock solid.
100% American made. This thing is super tough. I mean, this thing is not going anywhere. I've ran the Beatdown double stack from Florida all the way up to New York. And the one thing that I know is when I get to my fishing destination, I never have to worry about issues with my graph mount.
Your options are endless with these mounts, but they're steady, they're solid. These are the most reliable mounts on the market, and you can't go wrong with the Beatdown.
When you're ready to hit the water, Denali Fishing has you covered. Regardless of your skill level, from beginner all the way up to tournament pro, Denali has rods, reels, and tungsten to get the job done. Check them out at denalifishing.com.
Hey guys, Brian Schmidt here with Spro. I'm going to talk to you about the confidence I have in the equipment I use. You know, I have a charter boat business back home in Maryland. We fish for saltwater fish, and I also fish the Bassmasters Elite Series. So I keep my lights on by fishing. I have to have a lot of confidence in the equipment I use. Spro has me covered from head to toe, saltwater, freshwater, everything in between. A lot of high-end quality product. Spro has you covered.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top 100, Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Omnia Pro gives you the confidence to eliminate dead water on thousands of lakes across the U.S. Exclusively through Omnia, utilize our map layers containing critical real-time satellite information to see water temperature, water clarity, and important weather data all in one place, along with 1-foot contours for navionics and detailed CMAP social mapping. Matched with Omnia's industry-leading loyalty credit program on all your tackle and gear needs, this is the only app you need in your arsenal for success on the water.
All right, welcome back. Final segment here, BTL on a Tuesday. Matt Looney. Yeah, we had like a chat. Like you went like 2 really good events in a row there on the MPFL. I'd strung together a couple good events in opens and Bass Nation competition. It's amazing. Like we were chatting about how easy it seems when things get rolling, and how difficult tournament fishing seems when things aren't rolling. Yeah. Like I've had a lot of behind the wheel time this year. I know you have too. You're probably a little bit busier because you're also running Bass Cap Boats, basically, from the marketing side. But is that something that that you've thought about more after that is like, how do you capture that momentum or that feeling when the decision making seems easy, when it's flowing, and when the checks and the top 20s are just boom, boom, and then it seems so foreign a month before or a month after you get on that little roll?
Yeah. Now, it's crazy too, and a lot of it's mindset. I talked with you a little bit about this. For me personally, we MPFL had a big break this year. We had our first event in February, and we didn't compete again until May. And so during that break, I actually kind of started my first. It's crazy. You go and you look at my profile picture on MPFL. That first event, I was in a bad place. Like, I was the heaviest I'd ever been. I was just stressed out, like just not a good place. Since then, between the first event and the third event, actually, like, I've lost 50 pounds, got in the gym every day, like discipline, there's different things. And I think a lot of those aspects, now that I'm on the when I'm on the water, I'm not hurting. I'm not, dying of thirst because I don't drink water. I'm not doing all these things. So my body's in a position to make the right decisions. Paul Nick talks a ton about your limbic brain and things that how you can remember back, but that's hard to do if it's foggy. It's hard to do if you're not awake. It's hard to do if you're not in good shape. And so for me personally, that was a lot of the start of it. And, Brad Fuller called me after my good finish at Pickwick, and he's like, dude, like, you're looking good, you're fishing good. Like, he's like, everything's rolling. And I told him then, I said, man, I'm just in a good place. And work is super stressful, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, sales are good, but it's always stressful. It's not the easiest time in the world. And so fishing's almost my release at this point. I don't get to fun fish a ton. So when I go to those tournaments, I wasn't under as much pressure. I was feeling good. And like, for instance, Pickwick, I go out there, I had caught 2 fish the entire practice. I thought this is going to be awful, not good, but I caught those 2 fish in the same spot. So I went to that spot. It's the only spot I had in the whole lake. And thankfully, no one was there when I got there. And I never left it for 8 hours that first day. And then I fished it for 5 or 6 hours each of the second 2 days. And the fish were there. But I had to diversify, I had to change baits, had to do different things. But I was in such of a calm place, I was able to do it. We turn around, we roll up north. And it was a situation where the weather was not good. Like, it was not smart to do what we did. A lot of us did, but everyone that finished well had to do it. We had to go out in the lake and weigh out. And, prior to that, the year before we were there, again, unhealthy, super heavy. I beat myself up getting out there that first day, and I didn't even want to go back. This year, it was like I had no thoughts about it. I'm going there. That's where the fish are. And then again, you get there and the fish aren't doing what you think, but you just make the right decisions. And it was, I accompany a lot of it to just being healthier, being in the right state of mind. And it was like, no decision I made was wrong for those 2 events. And then you turn around and I did awful at this event, but we had that momentum going. Yeah. And literally it's like that momentum, since our tournament was when July, I believe, somewhere in there. And then we had such a big break because of Florida getting canceled and all. I genuinely think like I got out of that little bit of a groove I had. And, I came into this event. I wasn't fishing the same. I wasn't in the same spot. Like, it's crazy what it does when you get rolling. You can't mess up almost. And it was very cool. It was like a high feeling, like you feel awesome. And then you get slapped in the face with a low as well. Like it was pretty crazy.
It is. I was interested in that. So I'm a big believer in the time on the water too, right? So every time I've gotten on a roll, it's typically been like a little bit later in the year. It's typically been like where you have some back-to-back events with fishing in between. Like this year when I started catching them, I was legitimately, I think, 24 out of 25 days on the water. Yeah. And it's amazing how the decisions come easier. Like everything that I kind of liken it to, like, I was a hockey player, right? Yeah. And if I was thinking about my position on the ice while the game was going on, I was always out of position. Right. If I was just reacting, I was always in position, and I seemed to have a lot more puck luck.
Yeah.
You know, the rebound comes to you, you're on the side of the net, you get a breakaway, like just things to where then you would go like stretches where you knew you were like about to get demoted to like the third line or second line. You'd be like, I need to make sure that like I'm on the wall, that I check this, that I chip this puck out, that I'm on my guy in the slot since I'm the third defenseman in the deep. And that's when I started thinking, and you do it. So like for this upcoming tournament, like I've spent so much more time on the water. Like I've gone to a different lake the last week and a half, like every day after the show, every day on the weekend. I've tried to get a feel across the state of everything that's going on. I've gone to new lakes from 500 acres up to 20,000 acres all over. I'm just trying to get that fishing on the water, different lake vibe, to where even just the launching of the boat and the running and figuring out, like, it occurred to me, I think there's no better learning platform. And you talk about Arkansas and Oklahoma, two states that have a plethora of small, diverse, and productive fisheries where you can get feedback. So like I went to this one, I'd never been there. It's like over an hour away from the house. I get there, I'm like reading the signs to make sure I'm not going to get arrested if I start my big motor. I dump in, I have no mapping whatsoever. Right. So I spend like an hour just kind of, I had one buddy who'd been there before, and he's like, go up. I'm like, well, it's the only creek arm you can go up. So anyway, I find the channel. I kind of dissect the path. I could break the whole lake down, but I think it's just like little confidence things on that, and getting on the water, getting positive feedback, and then keeping that momentum rolling that really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, it was a lot of just, when you're doing that, you're in the right mindset because you're constantly out there. Like you have nothing else really taking your focus. And at that point, you make those right decisions because they are second nature. You compare it to hockey, same thing with football. I played defensive line. It's all reaction. Like offensive line, they're a bunch of cheaters. They know the snap count. They know where they're going. Defensive line, we actually had to be athletes and react to what they were doing. But I loved it. Like, I mean, the pressure of it, everything, I thrived in that situation. And I think that, again, this year with the good finishes, I loved it because there was that, like, I didn't have to think. I knew where I was going. Like, I wasn't up all night, like, I'm like, I'm going right here. I'm going to go catch fish. And if they're not there, I know the fish are there. I'm going to figure out how to catch them. And that was both of those events. I knew those fish were on that point at Pickwick, had to change baits every day. At Saginaw, I had to change baits and in location a couple of times, but like I knew what they were doing, where they were at, and it wasn't a second guess. And there was, there's guys that caught them way different ways than I did, but in my head, that was how I was going to catch it. That was the only way I was going to catch it, and I'm going to catch it. Like it was just a mindset.
There it is. All right, Bass for Beckers. I do want to talk about this. This is more of a personal thing. You've done this over the course of your entire career in the industry. I've got a trip that we're doing coming up in the next couple months. It kind of is weather dependent for giving it away, but still actively doing Bass for Beckers.
Yeah. No, Bass for Beckers is great. So we actually, what's funny, we talked about Coach. We ran into a little snag. So Coach is actually giving away a bunch of signed merchandise.
Oh, wow.
For the monthly prize. But we ran into a little bit of a snag with legal side because you have to be careful. A high school athlete can't win it. And so then, like, we had to go through all this weird because of NCAA and like anyway, so we finally literally yesterday, I got a text. I was like, hey, we're good to go. And it was supposed to be the October prize. So I may roll it a couple of weeks into November and then draw, because then we also have a really good prize in November. So pretty excited about that. It's been a tougher year overall, but I think, it's where we're at in the economy. It's where, people don't necessarily have a ton of extra money they're willing to let go of right now. So, but it's still an awesome cause. For those of you who don't know about it, we raise money for kids with muscular dystrophy. My nephew was diagnosed with Becker's muscular dystrophy back in 2019. And so that's why it's called Bass for Beckers. But yeah, so we raise money every year. We donate it to the summer camp fund for the MDA, because summer camp was a huge turnaround point for him and his Becker's journey. And so, yeah, I mean, it's an awesome cause. And when you're buying the tickets, you're buying to win my fully rigged bass boat. So this year, Bass Cat came on board. before I ever got hired, like it wasn't me sponsoring myself. Like Bass Cat was fully invested into what we're doing. And so, I mean, you get my Puma with the 4 screens, the lives, like literally how I fish out of at every event, someone is going to just get handed the keys to it on January 1st.
Fantastic. So you can go to bass4beckers.com.
Yep.
And sign up to win that.
Yeah, it's super awesome. I'm thankful that we get to do it. The best part of the whole deal for me is giving the boat away every year because it's just like a wholesome feeling. Like someone is so excited to win this boat. And, it's a $25 ticket. So for the price of a lunch, you can turn around and potentially win a fully rigged Puma. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Chris Phillips won the trip with me this year. I was looking that up on it.
Oh, okay. Sure. I can't remember.
Chatting with him. Yeah, the June
June
winner. I do. Okay. So before we close, I do want to mention when we had Mark Zona on the show, it was in the midst of the Bears winning streak, and they had a game overseas, a bye week, and then they played Washington. And, Caleb Williams was originally at University of Oklahoma and big fingernail painting guy. And they had a big thing. He did it at OU. He's just always done it. And I just casually mentioned his own. I said, well, I mean, if they go on a winning streak, they win these next 2 games. Will you paint your nails on BTL on Monday? He's like 100% I'm in. Like, I'll come on BTL with Caleb Williams painting nails. Dude, he was a Hail Mary away.
Right.
Happened to be on BTL. Like I was about ready to Venmo him $150 so he could go to the salon, get the Chicago Bears painted nails and be on BTL Monday. And then that crazy thing happens on the last play of the game against Washington. Literally a tip ball Hail Mary to win the game. So
right.
We'll just close that chapter in the Mark Zona fingernail painting. I had even before that game like messaged him and been like, hey dude, like it might happen. And he's like, I'm all in, bud. How it is. So yeah,
that's funny. Now what an interesting turn of events. That guy just basically taunting the crowd and turn around and he's the one that tips it up.
I mean, that's absolutely wild.
Yeah. Like listen, some people get cocky.
That's like leading the tournament and you cut off the second place guy.
Right.
And you're like, haha, I got you. Yeah. Like, have fun finishing second. And then that guy boat flips an 8 5 minutes before check-in right in front of you to beat you by an ounce.
Yep. No, that's very equivalent. It was the craziest. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, of course it would be that guy too that tips it.
Yeah. No, that was instant karma. But all right, Matt, Bass Cat, the owner's invitational registration opens this Friday. Basscat.com, the link to the fishing chaos. You said the first 100 that sign up for that as Bass Cat owners lose products.
Yeah, lose TP2 rod. It's their new, I think it's Tourney Pro 2 is what it stands for, but it's their new TP line. So it's the TP2. I don't know length in action yet, but the first 100 boats will get 2 of those when they register, when they come in to check in. And
then the contingency money for the Bassmaster Opens, the Bassmaster Open EQs, that registration for that starts the middle of next month, and then make plans to be at the Bassmaster Classic in March.
Yeah,
to see something that we can't talk about. Potentially,
allegedly, there could be something at the Classic to come look at, and there may be 2 or 3 on the water for dinner.
And sign up for the Bass for Beckers giveaway.
Yep, that'd be awesome. Raffle. I appreciate you having me on, Matt.
I enjoyed it, Matt Looney. Thank you for jumping on BTL. Thank you for the continued support of Bass Cat with BTL. I always tell people, and I've had several people take me up on it in the past, if I'm ever at a tournament, if I'm at a event somewhere that's around and you're serious about getting in a Bass Cat, you haven't before, you want to get in, you want to dig around the boat, you want to look at the compartments, the latches, how I store my stuff.
Yep.
By all means, hit me up on Instagram. I'll meet you, you can do it. And if there's somewhere, that's around that's legal and doable, we can get that sucker on the water. And you can see what it's like to feel the rush.
Absolutely.
Oh, dude, you know what I figured out how to do? And this is all credit to Ty Ow. Did you see where he put the Hello Kitty? Like where you start the boat, right? On the bottom, it's got like the Batman logo. It says the Bass Cat logo on the bottom. Well, Ty Ow changed that to a Hello Kitty.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, dude, like, can we do that with like BTL? And then I talked to a Scott at the Bass Tank, and we have figured out, I probably shouldn't be telling the Bass Cat guy this, but we figured out how to change that logo and the color of it to where, like, when I turn it on and it's dark and you have like the rail lights on, like it's called like AC2 or something like that. The buttons up there where the rail lights come on. Yeah. So you have the rail lights on, then you've got the blue LEDs for like your deck lighting. And then the bottom has like that image projection when it's dark, like every single co-angler that gets in the boat's like, oh dude, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? And then when you get out, it's also underneath the trailer as well, where it says Bass Cat, feel the rush on it underneath the dog step. And yeah, I'm changing that to green BTL. Like that's a little customization.
That's cool.
So
I'm all for it. Hey, listen, we are at our core, we're a custom boat company. It's what's made it since 1971. Like literally everything we've ever done has been we build it for the customer. So I'm for it.
Yep. And I think that my 22 or 23, the last boat, also stayed in Oklahoma, which is weird. I was looking at Jake's Instagram. It's weird to see like your older boats that you have like such memories of and stuff to see like someone else running them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh man, like I have hundreds and hundreds of hours in that thing. Not running it, but just in that boat too. So yeah, I know there's been a little bit of interest in this boat. It's kind of a yearly deal on that. If you are looking at a boat and want my boat, just hit me up and I can put you in touch with Bass Cat at the end. I know that's often a lot of times better to go through a dealer. Bass Cat dealer, but hit me up, anybody, if you're looking at a new cat or anything or have any questions about it. I can answer about 50% of them, and that's just based on my own personal experience of how I run them. I've run 4 different models right now, and then anything else that I can't answer, I will pass on to Matt Looney or someone else on the pro team that will be able to answer. I know we've got some guys hooked up down in Louisiana who wanted to get in one, and I was like, no, but maybe we can get you hooked up so we can go look at one down there. So
yeah, anything like that too.
I'm passionate about it, dude. Like every single sponsor that is on BTL, I use the product. I tell you the good and the bad with it and what I like about it and what I don't like about it. So the cat is no different. It's sitting out there in the garage. I'm going to be crawling around in it all day, getting ready to fish grand. And good thing I'm in a boat because it's going to rain a lot.
Yeah, good luck in your flood.
All right. Thanks, Matt. See ya.
Thank you.
All right. That is Matt Looney. I started the music, but then I forgot. Cool show tomorrow. Full show. Josh Daniels, who's one of the owners of Pro Bass Adventures down in Mexico, is going to be on the show to talk about taking over 2 lodges in Mexico, one on El Salto, one on Backrack, I think, and talk about the whole process of dialing those in, getting people down, the travel, outfitting it with electronics, what it's like to actually do a Mexico trip. We still have a couple spots open for that December BTL trip. I'm kind of doing it as like a trial run trip, but an announcement coming from Josh and Pro Bass Adventures tomorrow. And then there should be a guide day on Friday as well. Matt Looney, Bass Cat Boats. That's all we got for BTL today. Same place, same time tomorrow. See ya.